Welcome to the tutorial on using the love filter. In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at some of the effects that we can get from using the love filter, so if you haven't already done so, take a look over it so that you can get familiar with the possibilities and follow along a little bit better. To begin with, I have a bass line inserted here, so I want to go ahead and play the unaffected sound. What we're going to do, I've already got this on mixer track 1, so I'm going to go ahead and insert the love filter. You might see me go back to this preset, reset, and all that does is puts filter number 1 on an SVF filter and puts the low band and high gain all the way up, all the way across, so that way we have an unaffected sound to begin with. So to start out with, first thing I want to take a look at is using the wave shaper. And to do that, all we have to do here is turn the wave shaper on. For this, let's go ahead and put it in bipolar mode. And then we can just draw like an inverted triangle. And this will give us like a nice kind of clean distortion. Nothing overpowering. While we're working with the wave shaper, what we can do is work with this W mix parameter. And to do that, actually, let me go ahead and reset. We'll go to this W mix parameter. Actually, let's go back here first, sorry. Go in here in the wave shaper, and we want to draw out a spline going from the bottom left to the top right. We want to keep it kind of low here on this output side so it doesn't get out of control. And again, we need to remember to turn it on. And then we can go into our W mix parameter. And on the W mix parameter, we're going to adjust the LFO here. So we'll adjust the speed. Let's go ahead and set that tension. I'll have to play around with the pulse width. What I want to do is try to get 4 equal parts here. Like that. What this is going to do is it's going to have the distortion go in and out on the beat when the pulse is up, and then it's going to cut out when it's down. So let's go ahead and play that and take a listen. So you notice how the LFO pulses up and down and goes back and forth between clean and distortion. So that might be kind of cool to use on like drums or a vocal line or something. So we'll go ahead and reset. Now this next example I want to take a look at involves using 2 separate banks in conjunction with one another to create an effect that utilizes 2 different cutoff frequencies. So what we'll do first is choose bank number 1 up here. And we'll set the band and high gain at 0. And then we'll choose bank number 2. Remember to turn it on. And this time we'll set the low gain at 0. Move the bandwidth down about halfway. And then on bank number 1, we need to make sure to turn this output next knob all the way to the right so that it feeds into bank number 2. And then what we'll do here on bank number 1, since this is where we have the low gain turned up, we'll go to the low parameter and adjust the LFO so that we have it playing 1/8 notes. And adjust the tension here. That should work, and then we'll go into bank number 2 and we'll turn it on so that we have 16th notes here. So I want to go ahead and let's play this. I'm going to solo the second bank first so that we can hear it, and then we'll bring in the second one, or, well, bring in the first one into the second one. So you can hear in that example how the lower frequency there is playing eighth notes, and then the higher frequencies are going along with 16th. Now it's kind of hard to hear with that example whenever you're using like a bass instrument like that, because you're not going to have as much top end. But you can experiment with that either on a full mix or on a range of different instruments, maybe a rhythm section, and see where that takes you. And of course you could always play around with the tension and the pulse width, and that should give you some different results. Maybe something to use on a drum pattern as well. Something else with this same principle, I'm going to go ahead and reset here. Something else with this same principle is that we can adjust the low gain here. But what we'll do is go ahead and adjust the pulse width again. And this time I just want to have 8 pulses here. And when I play this, I'm going to adjust the gain slider for the low up and down, and you'll see how even once this volume slider goes all the way down, the bandwidth and the high are still going to play normally, and you won't have the pulsing on the low until I bring the slider back up. So you can see how that was only the LFO here on the low was only affecting those lower frequencies. The bandwidth and the high were left alone. It's kind of nice because you can control different parts of a sound, and you don't have to adjust the entire sound. You can just adjust certain parts of it. Now another example I want to take a look at is using automation to create a sweeping type effect. So again, we'll reset. And for this, what we'll do, we'll set the gain for the low at 0. We'll set the bandwidth about halfway, and then we'll leave the high at 100. And then we're just going to automate the cut knob from left to right. So just right click on that and choose Edit Events. And then for this, I'm just going to right click in the bottom left hand corner and drag up to the top right here at this 3. We'll try to get this as close as possible without going over. And then when you take a listen to this, you'll notice how it just creates a neat, simple sweeping effect. So you see how just using a simple automation fade like that can create a pretty neat effect. I'm going to go back in here and clear out this automation so that we don't have it affecting us next time. Okay, so that's taken care of. This next example I want to take a look at involves resonance and how we can play around with that. We'll set the LFO on the resonance parameter so that it's playing 16ths. And then what I'm going to do is, as this is playing, I'm just going to play around with the cut knob, and you'll see how this creates kind of a neat effect, again, that we can use as automation. So you see how working with the resonance in conjunction with the cut knob there can be used to create kind of a neat effect, and that might be cool to use on like a synth or something. And again, you can automate that. Now I'm going to go ahead and reset. In this last example I want to take a look at is one that involves the X and Y parameters. What I'm going to do is set up the X and Y parameters so that the top left is silent, the top right is all bandwidth, the bottom right is all high, and the bottom left is all low. So let's go ahead and we're going to choose mod X, and for the low I'm just going to do fade from left to right, and then for the band and high have it fade in from right to left. And then we'll go to mod Y, and for the low, sweeping in from left to right. We'll do the same thing for the high. And then the bandwidth we'll need to do from left to right. To turn the cut back up. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that, and you'll notice again when I move the crosshairs around here in this area, you'll see how each corner represents a different frequency. So this would be helpful if you were using hardware that you could control the X and Y with, or if you had automation set up, or if you were playing live. But I hope that these techniques will help you to be more creative, and the LUV Philter is a very dynamic tool, so definitely look into all the possibilities. But I want to thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.